Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Black men, that I have you all together, I need you to express your thoughts to America. Don't hold back. That is America. Take one. Action.
This is my contribution for a letter to America. I'm Jahmal Miller here in Sacramento, California. And I think moving forward in this time of racial injustice and civil unrest is really first and foremost acknowledgement of how in this country, when we think about our ancestors as African American people, our history is American history, and a big part of our forward progress really requires that we atone for the violent nature of how through free labor and for centuries of oppression, African American people were traumatized, but also played a critical role in literally the building of America and America's economy. I also think it's imperative that understanding that the African and African American history is American history, that it be embedded into our educational systems. We have to have a racial justice curriculum. People don't know, white, black, brown, and different. People don't know the story of the significant contributions that Africans and African American people in our country have made. And then lastly, I think civic engagement and political incorporation. When you think about what power means in the United States and how you get things done, it's political power. So our communities need to be politically empowered and mobilized. We need to vote and exercise our rights through civic engagement.
Hi everyone, my name is Brian Young and I'm an educator, husband, and father. And Tony Miller asked me to speak to you guys in terms of the state of America, and so I was happy to do it. I think over the last couple months, one of the things that the pandemic has revealed is, the extreme challenges of inequality and racism. And so, we see, in the midst of a pandemic, the vulnerable populations that are affected, specifically our elderly, people of color, working class people who must work in order to take care of their families, and of course, the medical population who have to, take care of us. In terms of racism, really at this point, this should go without speaking, but voices are crying out. In the words of the late great James Baldwin, isn't 401 years enough? The nation has a creed to uphold, and that's liberty and justice for all. In terms of those of you watching, the one power that we have is the power to vote. So I would urge you to vote early if you have to, and by all means support one another in our community. Keep the faith.
Yo, what's up, family? It's your boy John Tate here. Just giving you my thoughts on the state of our nation and what it is to be a black man in America. I will say that as a black man and as a father that has black sons, I do fear for my sons and their safety. And after losing one son, I will say that losing a child is one of the most heartbreaking things that any parent would ever experience. One of the worst things in your life is to bury your own child. The one thing that is consistent throughout the Bible is wherever there's oppression, God always liberates his people. This is why more than outside of giving, the Bible talks about justice more than any other subject. I'm reminded of Micah 6:8, where he says, we are to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before our God. And for me, that's my life's mission, is to be an advocate for justice for all people, regardless of what you look like, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of what you believe. It's none of my business. My job is to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly. And I just want to challenge everybody, go out there and love your neighbor, fight for your neighbor, regardless of what they believe.
I wanted to express my feelings. Hello, DeAndre Miller, and this is my letter to America. I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you guys. I wanted to express my feelings of being a black man in today's society. Excuse me. I'm 36 years old, and I would have to say that my entire adult life, I have been not only excited, but I've been appreciative. I've been honored to be a black man, and I still am today. But in today's climate, it makes you question how to be that, how to show that you are honored, how to show that you are proud of your heritage, your culture. And that makes me sad, because we are an intelligent group of people. We are an experienced group of people. Our ability to even self-teach and to self-be taught it amazes me every day, due to our endurance and due to the stamina that we've created through and on the backs of our ancestors, make us amazing. Because I believe in God, I'm hopeful. I would find great difficulty in saying that I'm not hopeful, but then also I'm a man of God. I believe in God, so I'm very hopeful.
Beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains and majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, by crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Hello, my name is Patrick Coleman, and my brother asked me to do a little piece on my take from the state of America. When I got this message, I was not really shocked by what has been going on. I've lived long enough to see some things. On two spectrums, I've seen some things. One spectrum I've experienced the level of racism that most of these young people can't even imagine. I'm a product of the 60s and 70s. And to experience some of the things that we have experienced in Chicago. I'm a native of Chicago, and to experience some of that was, it just, over time you grow numb to it. It was a learning experience for me and my family. But as I got older, as I matured, as I saw things that would otherwise really get upset about, I looked at it from a different set of lenses now. I was a rebel at one point in my life. When I saw the atrocities of racism as a young kid or as a teenager, I took action. Anybody white, I went at them. But as a pastor today, you have a different approach. When you look at the state of America right now, and you hear all the, karma that, people chant, or, what America has done to the black man, as scripture says, seek first the kingdom. You don't seek to retaliate. You don't seek to get retribution. Seek the kingdom. And when you get that guidance, you'll know how to react. You'll know what to do.
Black man, frustrated. Countless number of murders. We as individuals, every day woke up, looked in the mirror, and measured our own individual integrity, as opposed to fixing others. That overnight would make the world a better place.
In my portion of the letter to America, as a law-abiding, college-educated black man who is a preacher, father, husband, all we really want is, as Martin Luther King Jr. said in his final speech, his very infamous mountaintop speech the evening before he was assassinated. As a black man in America, all we want is from America is what America said on paper. That's all we want. As he said, somewhere he read where there was a freedom to speak out. He said somewhere he read where there was a freedom of the press. Somewhere he read where there was a freedom of assembly. And somewhere he read where there was a freedom to protest injustice. I just want you to be true to what you said on paper. Give us the rights that you said were equally ours. And I think that we'll begin to see progress in this country.
Thank you for providing this opportunity for to speak our feelings about, or speak our truths about, the state of the country, and having a platform to express those feelings and share those with other individuals. During this time, I think that me personally, I have a lot of mixed emotions, whether it be sadness, whether it be confusion. But I think that what I've seen most recently is a ray of hope. The fact that we are coming together. I think that a lot of times what we've been victims of are our policies and infrastructure that has been set to not favor us. We can go back many years and understand that, there's been barriers and things put in our way, and we've overcome those. And I don't want individuals to stop thinking about the progress that we've made and how far we've come. However, I think that this is the time that we really look deeper into, policies and infrastructures of everything, whether.
Dear America, I am a black man. I'm not the whitest black person, I am not black sometimes. I am black 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Black. Unapologetically black. And I shouldn't be judged by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. I shouldn't have to live in fear of one day being gunned down in the streets because I decided to go on a jog. I should be able to sleep peacefully in my home without worry or fear of thinking, what if the police kick in my door and start shooting like they did Breonna Taylor? I should be able to breathe without being suffocated by a society that views me as less than. America, now is the time for us to rise up and stand against racism, hatred, bigotry, and injustices. We can no longer sit back and ignore the systemic racism and oppression and injustices that have held Black people in this nation for far too long. Now is the time us as Americans work collectively to dismantle the systems of hatred, racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. But in order to accomplish this mission, we need the help and support of all those, regardless of skin color, political affiliation, or social economic status, that understand that Black lives matter.
We wrote this letter to America because our brothers and sisters are dying in the street. We wrote this letter to America so our frustration and anger could be released. We want to tell you how we feel so that our hearts and souls can heal. Trayvon, Jameer, Eric, Ahmad, and George, your lives unlocked heaven's justice. Now we're fighting for more economic justice, no more poverty, social justice. No longer can you rewrite history. Spiritual justice. We walk by faith and not by sight. Stop spreading that hate. Start spreading God's love. It's time to shine a light. We are motivated, elevated. We've had enough. We are kings and queens, and we are rising up. America declared all people are created equal. And now we're gonna hold you to it as we make this American sequel, yeah. We wrote this letter to America to tell you that a change has come. We wrote this letter to America to tell you we have overcome. Oh yeah, a change has come. Oh yeah, we have overcome.